Okay, yes, I cut my hair. It was uneven. Anyways, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that today I'm going to be explaining why I think David Corenswet is a better Superman than Henry Cavill. Now, this will be a controversial video, I know, but hear me out, okay? This is not a Henry Cavill hate video, a Henry Cavill slander video. Also, I just want to make this clear. I prefer Man of Steel to Superman 2025. So, I'm not biased against Henry Cavill. I also feel like it's super popular to hate on Henry Cavill right now because, you know, he got recast as Superman with David Corenswet, and he got recast in The Witcher with Liam Hemsworth. There's also this uptick on people just saying Henry Cavill is a bad actor, which is it's not true. But before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media. It's all linked down in the description. I'm also an actor and filmmaker myself, so check out my latest short film, The Singer's Tale. I just came to the realization the other day that David Corenswet plays Superman, and Henry Cavill was never really allowed to play Superman. Like, in all of Zack Snyder's films, he's not really playing Superman, he's playing Kal-El.
Kal-El, no!
And the only time Henry really gets to play Superman is in Justice League.
I believe in truth, but I'm also a big fan of justice.
Because I won't lie, I like Zack Snyder's DC films, okay? I love Man of Steel, I really like Batman vs Superman. It's got issues, but I really like it. And I really like the Snyder Cut. If the Snyder Cut was cut down to a more manageable, you know, theatrical experience or some such, I would probably even say I love the Snyder Cut. But I won't lie, it's just way too long for its own good. And when you really think about it, in those movies, Henry Cavill never really got to play the big blue Boy Scout, the one that stood for truth, justice, and the American way, or a better tomorrow, whatever. Because realistically, that's not what those movies were about. It was just a deconstruction on the idea of Superman, what if Superman came down to Earth and it was portrayed in a more realistic manner. He was always met with fear and xenophobia, and realistically, he never really had the public support. So he couldn't really be the big beacon of hope that stood for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, the American way, whatever. He couldn't appear to be a friend at all because he just appeared to be a big, menacing, godlike figure. Zack Snyder was not interested in representing Superman. He was interested in representing the godlike status of Superman, portraying that on the big screen. Because when Henry Cavill's Superman shows up on screen, yes, he's saving people, but the way Snyder frames it, he frames him like a godlike figure, like a messianic figure. He's a hero saving people, but there's kind of like a darker, more like mythic undertone to it. And for those films it works, but I wouldn't say that it's a super accurate portrayal of Superman. Like, don't get me wrong, out of all the actors to portray Superman, Henry Cavill looks the most like comic book Superman. He looks like almost every era of Superman. Unless you're looking specifically at certain comics like Superman's Secret Origin, because they purposefully designed that Superman to look like Christopher Reeve. But I still stand by this. Henry Cavill is the most comic accurate looking Superman, and he also has the best looking suit on screen. The color grading dulls the colors, but for the most part, when he is in a brighter blue costume, he looks like Superman. But he was never really given the chance to play the friendly Superman, the one that saves cats out of trees, the one that, you know, children will run up to and give a hug. He was never given that chance because in his movies, he was portrayed to be this big, ominous, larger-than-life figure. But that's also not me saying that he never smiled in those movies, because he did smile. But then also, too, when you, like, look at the context of those movies, why does he have a reason to be smiling? Like in Batman vs Superman, for example, he just witnessed an entire courtroom of people blow up in front of him. And I've had people too say, like, oh, you know, he's just there aura farming. Stop misconstruing that scene. First of all, that bit is shot in slow motion. The look on his face literally is saying to the audience, oh, they're all gonna think that was me. He's feeling pain, he's feeling empathy for the people that just died in front of him. Also, he didn't realize that the wheelchair was hiding a bomb. He realized that at the very last second. What could he have done? And if you look at the Ultimate Edition, the next scene, he is literally saving people. I mean, in the theatrical cut, it just cuts straight to him and Lois on the balcony. I mean, that being said though, right? You look at that scene in Batman vs Superman and then you compare it to the scene in Superman 2025. Superman doesn't look that good in Superman 2025. The interdimensional imp is like destroying the city. The Justice Gang are dealing with it. But he doesn't bother to do that. He instead just goes down and sits and has some cocoa with Lois because he's sad that Krypto is missing.
Where's the dog?
Anyways, circling back to Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill never really got to play Superman until Justice League 2017, where he was the big blue Boy Scout. He was making jokes at Batman saying how like, oh, yeah, I knew you didn't bring me back because you didn't like me.
Well, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me.
He stands for truth and justice and punches Steppenwolf and da-da-da. Like, realistically, that is the only time he gets to play Superman. Like I said earlier, he only really plays Kal-El in the Snyder films.
Kal-El, no!
And in Justice League, he gets to play Superman, but it's so jarring compared to Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel that it just doesn't fit at all. It's a complete course correction, but it doesn't fit. And also, too, CGI lip.
Because you like me.
But Justice League 2017, although totally confused with their universe, did prove that Henry Cavill could play the big blue Boy Scout version of Superman. It's just that he never really got to play that character. Because whenever Zack Snyder posts new pictures of Henry Cavill's Superman, behind the scenes stills and such, he always makes sure that Henry Cavill's Superman looks cool and badass. And he's never really smiling, he's just the cool, badass Superman. And as I said, Henry Cavill physically looks like Superman. But again, Snyder never really focused on portraying him to be the big blue Boy Scout. Now jumping over to David Corenswet and why I personally think he's better than Henry Cavill. Although I have issues with Superman 2025, I've made a whole almost hour-long video on that film. And although there are writing things that I disagree with, James Gunn, at the end of the day, fundamentally understands Superman and writes that into his film.
You trust everyone and think everyone you've ever met is, like, beautiful.
Like, regardless on how I feel about how James Gunn directed certain scenes and certain moments, at the end of the day, James Gunn does fundamentally understand Superman, the core of Superman, what makes Superman Superman, and he portrays it on screen. That being said though, there are certain moments where I'm just conflicted with the way Gunn portrays Superman. I point to this scene a lot, but the "I'm more human than anyone" speech is so weird to me because I both love it and I dislike it at the same time. I love it because of the way David Corenswet performs it, the way he does it, the music, I like it.
That is where you've always been wrong about me, Lex. I'm as human as anyone.
I get scared, I wake up every morning and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time. But that is being human. And that's my greatest strength. And someday, I hope for the sake of the world, you'll realize that it's yours too. Everything he says there is stuff Superman would say. The principles he has expressed, that is pure and utter Superman. The way David Corenswet has been directed to deliver it is not how I imagine Superman would deliver that. It's kind of a common theme in the James Gunn Superman film that I feel like at times he doesn't feel like Superman, but super teenager or Superboy. He's very reactionary to certain things, he gets triggered by certain things, and it seems like he's kind of just yelling out his frustrations.
Super shit, come on, Lois. You know that one specifically irritates
This
me.
is on the record, Clark.
Super shit, come on Lois, you know that one specifically irritates me. Like the way David Corenswet is being told to perform that scene, it just screams like he's going, hey Lex, believe me, I'm more human than anyone. Listen to me, I'm more human. But that's not how I would imagine the comic book character of Superman to deliver it. Comic book Superman would be more centered and he wouldn't be yelling it, he would just be saying it very authoritatively. Think like Tim Daly in the Justice League cartoon. You know that speech he has to Darkseid?
Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die.
Like, that's how I imagine Superman would deliver that speech. But the way James Gunn directs David Corenswet to deliver that speech, it feels very kind of like reactionary. He feels very whiny, because in many ways that speech is a complete non sequitur. It's like Lex calls him an alien, and then he just gets angry, and it's just like, I'm more human than you, Lex. But coming to the core crux of this video and why I think David Corenswet is the better Superman is that He's allowed to be more charismatic. He is allowed to be the friend to all.
No can do, 4. I gotta get back to the fray.
Kids will run up to him and give him a hug. He will hug them back. He'll be very kind and gentle. When he rescues civilians, he offers them comfort. To him, almost all life is sacred, regardless of not if they are monsters and such. He's caring, he's compassionate, he's what Superman should be. Now granted, Gunn goes too far in certain moments to portray Superman's concern for the safety of civilians. I mean, why does the kaiju just stop for like 10 seconds for Superman to go, "Hey guys, is everyone okay?" Like, don't get me wrong, Superman would make sure that the civilians are okay, but the film just stops to have him have that moment. But you could have edited that to be somewhat different, like the kaiju loses balance and stuff and they're steadying itself. But David Corenswet just gets to have the bubbly big blue Boy Scout personality of Superman. He's all like, "Ah, gosh golly, gee shucks." He doesn't swear. I really like that about his Superman.
Golly.
There's just more personality to him, because when you compare him to Henry Cavill's Superman barely talks. But like with David Corenswet, he is the friend to all, regardless of not if I think his costume doesn't look very good. In many ways, and I've heard this comparison a lot, David Corenswet is as if Brendan Fraser got to play Superman in the 90s. And ever since I've heard that comparison, I can't help but unsee it. I think David Corenswet is genuinely really good as Superman. And I genuinely think that is a genius comparison. Like, David is just charismatic. He just exudes Superman energy, even in the behind the scenes and also too on the press tour. There was this one TikTok I saw where him and the cast were doing an arm wrestling competition with some like teenager, and he walks up to the guy and he literally just goes, "Do you want me to let you win?" That is so Superman. David is Superman. Also too, when it comes to critiquing Snyder's interpretation of Superman, Henry Cavill also critiques it as well. He wanted to play the big blue optimistic Boy Scout. Snyder just never let him. He's been vocal about it in interviews too. And it's a shame too, because although Justice League is totally inconsistent, Henry could have played it really well. But to wrap this all up, I prefer David Corenswet as Superman to Henry Cavill. I prefer Man of Steel to Superman 2025, but when it comes to embodying the character of Superman, I think David portrays the traits of Superman better because his script allows him to do that. Not to say that Henry Cavill's Superman is unempathetic and emotionless and doesn't care about people. He clearly does watch Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. He cares about people. It's just that Zack Snyder never really cared to show the big blue Boy Scout that is a friend to all. James Gunn does. But those are just my thoughts on who is the better Superman. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media, all the good stuff. Until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time.